All right, this is the final exam review. We're going to do section 3, which is your extended response questions. This is a calculator section, so you may use your calculator on this part of your final exam. So number 31, the following graphs show the cost of electricity for 2 different companies. For each company, we're going to explain whether the relationship between the cost and the number of hours is proportional. So let's look at company A. Let's just answer that part. Company A, the graph does show a straight line. It does not go through the origin. So therefore, it is not a proportional relationship. So we would write not proportional. Because it is a straight line, but does not go through the origin. All right, company B. This is also a straight line. It does go through the origin, so therefore this company would have a proportional relationship. And I'm just going to write that because it is a straight line. That goes through the origin. Now, be careful. That's not the only question it's asking. Let's go up and read. It says, if there is a proportional relationship, then make sure to identify the unit rate. So the only one we have to do that for is company B because this is not a proportional relationship. So let's look at company B. Now, to find the unit rate, you're going to use a point that crosses. They give us that point. That point is 660. So remember that to find the unit rate, you're going to do y divided by x. So y is 60, x is 6, which would make our unit rate, 60 divided by 6, 10. So just make sure you're finding the unit rate when it is a proportional relationship. All right, next one, number 32. Carmine paid an electrician X dollars per hour for an 8-hour job plus 160 for parts. The total charge was at least $480. Write, solve, and check the inequality that can be used to determine how much the electrician charged per hour. Make sure to define your variables. So let's start off with what don't we know? That's how we're going to define our variable. We're going to say let x equal. What is our variable representing? Now, we do not know how much the electrician charged per hour. So that's going to be the cost the electrician charged. Now, we have to write and solve an inequality. Now, in class, we talked about how there's usually a number that changes, a number that doesn't change, and a total. So let's figure this out. We know that he worked an 8-hour job, but we don't know how much he charged. So that's going to be our number that changes. Plus, we have $160 for the parts. That does not change. We're not writing an equation. I should take that off. The total is $480. Now, we need an inequality symbol there, and it says at least. That means that he can spend $480, but he can also spend he also spent more than $480. So we're going to say that since it was at least $480, that means it has to be $480 or more than $480, which would give us the greater than or equal to symbol. Now we just have to solve. So we're going to subtract 160 from both sides. So 8x is greater than or equal to, now this is a calculator section, so don't be afraid to bring this in. 480 minus 160 gives us 320. Divide both sides by 8, so x is greater than or equal to 40. Now there is a typo. That should not be miles. That should be dollars. Now, when you go to put your answer on the line, remember you have to have that x is larger than or equal to 40. You can't just put 40 on the line. That tells us that he charged $40 an hour, but he could have charged more. Now let's do the check. We're going to rewrite the original inequality that we had. We're going to replace x with any number over 40. I'm going to pick 100 because that will be easy to do the math on. So that would be 800 plus 160, which is 960, and 960 is more than 480, so that does check. All right, number 33. Members of the baseball team have raised $975 to go to a tournament. They rented a bus for $325 and budgeted $32.50 per player for meals. They will spend all their money they raised. So write, solve, and check an equation that models this situation that could be used to determine the number of players P the team could bring to the tournament. So let's define our variable. This time they tell us to use P. So let P equal the number of players. Now, the numbers that change would be the $32.50 per player because it depends on how many players you have. So $32.50 P plus they spent $325 on the bus. That is no matter what, it doesn't change. This is an equation, so we're going to use an equal sign, and then this was the total that they spent. Okay, so let's solve. We're going to subtract $325 from both sides. So $32.50 P is equal to, let me bring my calculator in here, 975 minus 325 is 650. We're going to divide both sides by 32.50. So P is equal to 20. There were 20 players that went on the trip. Now, this actually, you can write 20 on the line because P is equal to 25, so that would be correct. All right, let's do a little quick check. We're going to rewrite the equation. We're going to replace P with 20 because that's what the value of P is. This is not an inequality, it's just an equation. Okay, so let me bring this in here. We have $32.50 times 20. That gives us $650. Now just add the 325 on and you get 975 equals 975. So it does work and it does check. All right, number 34. The table below shows the prices of different numbers of cards on a website. For each order, the website applies 5.4% sales tax to the price of the cards. If a person orders 60 or more cards, they receive 5% discount. So based on the information in this table, what will be the total cost of an order for 100 cards? So here's the 100 cards. They cost $65. Now, you do receive a discount because it's over 60, and you do have to pay sales tax. So 2 percentages is 2 problems. Let's start with the first one. So we're going to do the 5% discount. Now, remember, if it's a discount, that you're going to subtract it to find the percentage that you pay. So we're actually paying 95%, which is 0.95. The cost of the 100 cards is $65, and we want to know what the price is after your discount. So part equals percent times whole. So 0.95 times 65. Let me get my calculator. So 0.95 times 65 is $61.75. That's how much you would pay with the discount. Now, let's figure out what the sales tax. Now, sales tax gets added to the cost. So if it's 5.4, you're going to add that to 100. So 105.4% or 1.054. The price that you're taxing is the new discounted price, which is $61.75. So I'm going to do part equals percent times whole. So 1.054 times 61.75. So let me get that calculator. I'm just going to multiply, and I get 65.0845. Now it's money. This is the end of the problem, so we can round that. That would be $65 Now I'm just going to remind you, do not round until the end of the problem. So if you had to round here, don't. Keep that as exactly how it is and just round it at the end. So once again, that answer is $65.08. All right, next question, last question. All right, use the expression below to simplify this, or to answer parts A and B. First, we're going to simplify it by collecting like terms. So now, before we collect like terms, I see that there's a number outside parentheses, so we actually have to distribute first. So 5x is not affected, but I'm going to distribute the 3. So 3 times x is 3x. 3 times negative 3y is negative 9y. Now I'm going to do the same thing with 1/4. So 1/4 times 8, if you need to do that in the calculator, you do have that. So 1/4 times 8 is 2. It would be 2x. And 1/4 times negative 4 is negative 1y. So now combine your like terms. So 5x, 3x, 2x. Those are all your x's. Write them next to each other. Then you have your negative 9 and negative 1. Those are your y's. You can write them right next to each other. Okay, so let's add. 5 plus 3 plus 2 is 10x. Negative 9 plus negative 1 is negative 10. So my answer would be negative 10x minus 10y. You can't combine those because one has an x, one has a y. Part B says express that in factored form. Now remember, factored form is the boxes. So 10x, negative 10y. Your GCF is 10. So that means that is x, and this is negative 1y. Put it all together. And you have 10 times x minus, I put 1y, but you can actually leave it as x minus y. That would be okay as well. All right, so make sure you know all of these 5 questions for your final exam. They're very, very similar to what you're going to see. So please make sure you review these as best as you can so that you are prepared for that final exam. Good luck.